Wonderful. So we are here. Welcome, ladies. I'm Leah Mcintosh, of course, and this is our first of the month huddle call for our Warrior Chick Mastermind. We are at the beginning of April, just a few days into the month. We finally have some sunshine here in Kansas City, so yay. A little bit of warmth finally, although it might not be that long-lived, but at least today, it's a wonderful day. So I'm glad you're with me. And let's jump right in. I'm going to share my screen. So I'm going to switch over here just a moment. So this first of the month, this is our Warrior Chick Mastermind, our huddle call. So we come together the first of every month to reset, to refocus, and to get clear on our goals and get the support we need to move forward. So let's read our mastermind motto together. Wherever you are, even if you're watching the replay, which I know some people are, let's read. In this room is the power to change the world. In me is the power to change the world. If I'm going to change the world, I need a world of change in me. Change comes naturally, but it can also come intentionally. Through the power of goal setting and community, I can achieve anything I put my mind to. Everything is possible to the extent I believe it is. I want to dream wide awake as much as I do asleep. And through focused action, we can do it 30 days at a time. That's powerful every time I read that, to just bring us back to center and remind us of the power that is already within us. So what is a mastermind and why do we keep coming together every month? Well, one of the definitions is a coordination of knowledge and effort as we come together toward a definite purpose in the spirit of harmony. And that's by Napoleon Hill. Jack Boland says it this way: a mastermind is two or more people who meet with trust and harmony for the purpose of providing mutual support and encouragement. And here's my favorite part: to believe for each other things which each alone may find difficult to conceive and believe for him or herself. So that is why we come together. Our purpose, specifically in this group, is to create more ease and grace in the lives of you as we pursue our life's work. So the vision is that we have success personally, professionally, without stress, struggle, suffering, or solitude. And we do that because we all have a team for community coaching and accountability. And so our mission is for each of us to build a business with the income and impact that we desire. Because when we make the internal shift, the external also shifts. Through this process, my role, our role together, is to remove all excuses, escape routes, limiting beliefs, constraints, fears, doubts, whatever stands in the way, so you can be who you are meant to be. So in this hour that we have together, here's our outline that we use each month. We're going to start and just celebrate and allow the folks that are here to celebrate. I've talked with everyone one-on-one over the last month, so I have a sense of the awesome movement that's happening. We'll evaluate. I'll do a short teaching. We're going to talk about our story today. Really powerful moment to come back to who we really are. And then we'll set our goals for this month. And some have already started to do that. So let's just pause and just celebrate. And I'm going to stop sharing my screen. So we'll come back on screen together. And I'm going to invite you to use the chat feature. So wherever you are, if you want to go ahead and open up your chat. And so my question to you is, what are you celebrating that's happened in your life and or business over the last month? So I want to give you a moment to just reflect on that. What's the one thing that you would share that for you says, yes, I am making progress? There may be some clarity in vision. There may be some movement financially, enrolling new clients or having new conversations. Maybe you've just defined your business plan more concretely. Maybe you've identified the challenges or barriers that are standing in the way from you soaring. Sometimes we've got a great plan, but what we don't have is the ability to see initially for ourselves what's holding us back. Because if we could do it all by ourselves, we would already be doing it. So one of the things we're celebrating today, Gina writes, I have a new client and I'm very close to signing my first subcontractor. And how exciting is that? So Gina, we celebrate with you. And I know how big of a deal this is. And let me put this in context for everybody, that most of us start out as solopreneurs, right? Just like raise your hand if you know what that means. We are solopreneurs. We're going to do it all. Of course, we are super women, so we really don't need many people to help us. But we get to the point, and Gina, I know you got to this point in your business where you realize to scale, I can't just do it all myself. And honestly, there are pieces of the business that we probably don't enjoy that much, that others could do for us, pieces of the system that we're creating. So Gina, we celebrate with you. Anything that you would add to that, Gina, as you celebrate?
Yeah, I think just, I know that I have some pretty significant fears around money, and I've looked at everything through that lens of scarcity. So just kind of shifting my mindset to understand that hiring the people I need up front will actually generate the revenue I want on the back end, rather than trying to hold on to every dollar that comes through the door because I'm afraid I'm not going to have money down the road.
Mm-hmm. So Gina, this is a really common fear that we have as people, the fear of scarcity, especially if we've been in those situations before in a real way. So help us, for the benefit of the group, how are you overcoming that fear and investing in yourself and your business up front?
Oh my gosh. I'll probably make the answer too complicated. I mean, I think it goes back to everything just what drives everything. Like, I've just kind of had a mental shift in the last several months that I'm at midlife. If I don't choose to take some risks now, then I feel like I'm going to wake up in 20 years like, what am I doing? So part of it's just like I see the fear, I feel it, and I do it anyway, because even if I don't get what I want, I've stretched a muscle, like I've practiced something that will take me into whatever I try next.
Mm-hmm. Wow. Well said. Thank you. And I love the image of stretching. So if you are like stretch, and Gina, you said it's a muscle that we learn to work. Stretching is not comfortable, especially when we're stretching new muscles. I don't know about you, but I was taught about money from my parents to work, save, and, try not to spend very much because of the fear of what if a rainy day comes. And I, like you, Gina, have been fearful of investing in myself and in my business. But there comes a point And you named it. And for many of us, midlife, it comes a point where I realized, maybe I've crossed over to the second half of life. And if not now, then when?
Yeah.
And as just a personal testimony, Gina, I just invested in a new coach that I'm working with, which is a significant investment, more than I've ever spent on working with the coach. And it's a stretch. And I was nervous in the pit of my stomach when I made that decision, but I had to work that muscle. I had to stretch before I see the results. It's an investment. And whether we are investing in real estate or in staff or in coaching or training, whatever we're investing in, there is no guarantee. And you named it. It's a risk. But when we really believe that it's the doorway to something else, then we're actually getting it. Because just like any successful business owner, it's often not one-to-one. I invest in this and I get a return back from that necessarily. But overall, a heart of abundance and of freedom returns abundance and freedom. So I have no doubt that you are going to be successful, and the new subcontractors that will work with you, they're going to soar, not just in business, but also personally as people. So I'm excited.
Thank you.
So thank you for sharing that. Nicole, I think Nicole is with us, but maybe off
Yes,
camera.
I'm here. I'm sorry I'm eating lunch, and I want you to have to see me eating. So
It's okay. Thank you for joining us over lunch. Thank you.
yes.
So the question is, what's the one thing that you would celebrate this month, over the past month, in your personal life or your business that you lift up?
You know, I have so many things, and two really come to mind from our personal coaching. I don't think I shared with the group. I'm looking for a different opportunity in my 9-to-5 because I too worry about financial, and I want to do a role to help fund this business opportunity. And in doing that, I had always followed missions of organizations. I've always worked for not-for-profits. I'm very mission-driven, passion-driven. That's the core of my compass. But while I followed those missions, I've learned over this time, and I've learned it the same lesson numerous times, it's the leader who really makes the difference. And I was working with Leah, and she said, okay, you ready? Here's the aha. The aha is you follow and look for that leader, and that leader that embodies those attributes and traits that you're looking for. And it's been a total shift in the way I do my networking and looking at what's next. And it's helped me to just see, it's a little bittersweet because the list is short. So I know I've got work to do. There's many other leaders, and I'm sure of those attributes I've yet to meet, but also too that what I'm looking for is very specific. And so it's given me a more direction and compass and clarity. So that's been huge. The other thing, and I'm working with two of our other Warrior Chick members, Gina and Denisha, things are coming together with where my business is going. And I'm trying to say without sharing all the things that are yet to come, but I've just stepped into my purpose in talking about people of color and philanthropy and being underrepresented. And there's amen choir and there's nodding because we are familiar with this, but it is not something that's spoken broadly. And because of some of the recent recognition I've received, I've been asked for quotes and statements, and on a video for the luncheon, I say it clearly. My new statement in the Independent that'll come out states it clearly. And the author who's writing for the Independent liked my response so much that we started talking about learning more about being a writer. And wouldn't that be wonderful if I can contribute to the Independent in some kind of way? So seeing abundance, going back to what Gina says, is it. And knowing that opportunity is there, I feel like things are just in front of me, and it's not by accident. The people that I've connected with, like Denisha and Gina, that have been put in my life for this precise moment. So sorry for that long-winded.
Absolutely wonderful. We celebrate with you.
Thank you.
It is so exciting to hear the transformation that's happening internally,
Yes.
that then manifests itself externally. And what you remind me of, Nicole, is the mirroring concept. We attract who we are.
Wow.
So as you made the list of the attributes that you want in a leader that you're going to work side by side with, as you show up in that way, those people are going to be put in your path. And like attracts like. So they're going to see you and they're going to think, that's who I've been looking for to work alongside me. So I just believe you're not going to have to search really hard. Some of these people you're now seeing, aha, they're that kind of person, and they're going to see you.
Mm-hmm.
And they're going to ask you to write and speak and consult and walk alongside of them to achieve an amazing mission. And I'm so excited about that.
Thank you. It's so powerful.
Congratulations on just taking the next step.
Yes.
Yay. And for all of the people that are watching the replay that are not here today in our group, I know each one of them has a story of making progress towards their goal. Each one of us in our own way, we've got something we're working on, whether it's a book, a business opportunity, personal growth, growing as leaders and women, and empowering others. Here's the common thread, is we're all using our life to impact someone else, that it doesn't just end with us. And that's what makes it so powerful. So I celebrate that. Let's keep moving forward in our mastermind here. So let me go back to the slide and let's look at where we are. So we have celebrated, and also want to encourage all of us, and I can do a better job of this as well, is to also post those celebrations in our Facebook group so that all of us can see real time what's happening. So we'll do a better job of that over the next month. So evaluation. Socrates says, an unexamined life is not worth living. Julian Gordon says it this way, progress is more important than perfection. Failing forward is better than not trying at all. So what we want to do every 30 days is to ask the question, what am I learning? What's going well and what's not going well? So I'm going to invite you to take a moment and write down at least one thing that would be a positive. And there's also a place in our app to do this. So what's one positive, like something that went well, something you learned about yourself, a new tactic, whatever you did that went really well, and write that down. And then secondly, write down what's something that didn't go well that I don't want to repeat for next month. So we'll pause for 30 seconds. And if you're able to type that in our chat when you have that, we'll use that feature. Again, it's one positive and then one thing that didn't go well that you would change. Okay. So does everybody have something? Okay. If you do, I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing my screen. If you're able to type in the chat, let me know when you're ready. part of the feedback in our chat here, a positive. I'm attracting the types of clients and causes I want to work with for. Specifically, my involvement in race and equity driven work opportunities has exploded. Notice that language, exploded. The negative is I'm putting in too many hours as a technician and need to get a team on board as soon as possible. Thank you, Gina. Really wonderful awareness. And I love the words, I am attracting. So I deeply believe in the power of attraction, that our soul vibration connects with one another. So as we are clear and focused, we attract exactly what we want. And the putting in hours, I think we can all identify with that. And I really applaud you, Gina, for being willing to build a team and impact lives through that team. And I think as Nicole is typing, I will also share one of the things that went well for me this month is I have connected with a new system for my coaching business. So I've done one-on-one coaching for years and have had quite a bit of success doing that. But what I haven't done is package that wisdom to share it more broadly. So the new coach I'm working with is a systems coach. And I'll also be able to share this with our group. But how do we take the teaching, the wisdom, our life's lesson and message and package it in an online program so that instead of people working one-on-one with you, customizing all of the work, you can standardize some of the work and make your package available, another product that you can make available that people can work through at their own pace. So in order for us to scale our businesses, not only do we need staff to do that, in some cases, like you said, Gina, we also need to create products that we can make available. And so multiple streams of income and price levels. Okay. So with that, Nicole, anything that you would add to that in terms of evaluation for you?
Not that I can think of. I put for my positive, I don't know if you saw my comments in the chat. I think a positive has been the soft launch of my business and identifying 5 new clients. And just taking that leap and knowing that you said it, that progress is more important than perfection. Mm-hmm. And then the negative challenges, my current work environment continues to be non-supportive and toxic. So navigating that energy so it doesn't spill into the other work that I'm doing and actually using that energy to spur me on into this next venture.
Absolutely. Thank you, Nicole. Really excited for you. And part of what we want to do with this evaluation is whatever went well, let's take that momentum into this month. And whatever didn't go well, let's find a way to minimize it. Some things we just let go. Others we want to intentionally get better at. And so we need support often in doing that. So hopefully over time, we start to see a pattern. That's what we're looking for in evaluation. We're looking for a pattern. What am I doing that's working for me? Or what do I need to stop? Where do I need to have a breakthrough in mindset or ways of working that can really make a difference? And I know, Nicole, you're planning for the next season to really make it exactly what you want it to be. And that's exciting. So with that, thank you, ladies. And for all of those who are watching the replay, take the time to evaluate the last month and also plan for the upcoming month. So let's jump into our teaching for today. So I want to invite you, you can mute your line, you can settle in, get a notepad and take notes if you're able, but you'll also have this replay. So our topic for today is titled Design Your Own Personal Story. So you should see these slides. And let me share a bit about how I got to this point of deciding that I need to get intentional about my story. I've been working as a coach for years, and in much of that coaching, I focused on how to set goals, how to envision, how to create action plans, how to hold ourselves accountable. And over the last year, and even with this group, we've started to focus more on the internal shifts that need to happen and how we use our personal journey to actually impact our business. So what I want to do with this is emphasize that this is the foundation. Our personal story is the foundation of business success and personal success. So what I want to help all of us do today is to design that personal story. And this will be your homework as well. So why are we going to focus on designing our personal story? Here's why. We design our personal story to attract customers. We talked a lot about that. Our vibration comes from that personal story to grow our brand and create a brand that's authentic and real to you. So sometimes we can get caught up in just replicating what others are doing that's successful, and we should learn from other people. But being able to have a brand that's authentic and a story that's uniquely ours is powerful. And here's the key. Your story is your message. Your story is your message, and that's what people will connect with that want to work with you. No matter what business we're in, whether you're offering fundraising or accounting or coaching or healthcare, whatever industry we're in, people connect with people. So our ability to enroll clients in our business, to market our services, and create something that's authentic and real to us must come from our story, must come from our life experience. So let me give you the two elements as you see here on the screen. Two elements that your story has to have. So here are two elements. It's credibility and it's vulnerability. Credibility and vulnerability. Now, I want you to focus first, and I should have switched these around because it should start with vulnerability, then credibility. Hear that. The order that we do this in is important. People first want to connect with you. Sometimes, I know I've done this in the past, we want to establish that we are credible with a client. We've had this experience, we have degrees, we've done work with other clients, and all of that's on our resume. What people want is vulnerability that then leads to credibility. Vulnerability is dropping into a place and being open and honest with people about who you are and the challenges you've gone through in your personal life and in your business, and how you were able to break through those moments and create results in your life and in your business. So again, vulnerability leads to credibility, and you've got to have both in your story. So vulnerability is expressed in that moment in the pit. So we'll talk about what this means, but all of us have been in a pit. All of us have experienced those moments where it's the deep, it's the darkest place. Now, That might be we've lost money, or we've lost a loved one, or something that's happened that shook us at the core. Those are pit moments. But the blessing in them is they allow us to break through. And again, what I want to remind us of, the foundation of our business success is our story, which leads to a message, a vulnerability, and then credibility. So we're going to practice this a bit today, and this will also be part of your homework. But this is going to be brick by brick how we're going to build a sustainable business for you. So how do we craft that story? There are 4 parts to this story that we're going to work on. It's the call, the pit, the search, and the breakthrough. So I want to invite you to write down those 4 things. The call, the pit, the search, and the breakthrough. So I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing my screen here, and I'm going to come back on, and I want to demonstrate for us on this call what it's like to tell our story. And I am preparing to speak at a women's conference tomorrow night. You may have seen it on social media. Rachinda, who's a part of this group, she has a Kept Women of God women's conference tomorrow night at St. James United Methodist Church, which is in the city. And I'll be speaking there tomorrow night. And so in preparation for that, I've been working on telling my story. I told pieces of my story over the years, but it was really clear to me that this is the foundation for success. So go with me on a journey for a few minutes. I, in my story, and welcome to those who are joining. In my story, it really began for me. My first memory was at about 12 years old. And I was walking across the church sidewalk. So picture this high steeple church I had been to for many, many years. And I'm walking across the sidewalk. And at 12 years old, I've got on my cute outfit. And I'm kind of swaying side to side, walking across the church sidewalk. And I'm looking back, and I hope they're looking. And these are 3 of the cutest boys in our school. And if you grew up in the 80s like I did, you might remember New Edition, Ronnie, Bobby, Ricky, and Mike. So these guys were like them, that amazing, that cute. And as I walked and swayed and looked back and hoped they were looking, I heard them begin to laugh and then snicker. And then one of them says, "That must be jam because jelly don't shake like that." And at that moment, the pit of my stomach just dropped. And I'm hearing these words, and my joy just was taken out of me. I was absolutely crushed in that moment. And at 12 years old, I create this story for myself that I'm not thin enough. I'm not cute enough. I'm definitely not woman enough to hold the attention of boys like this. And as a little girl who was thick, maybe you know those terms, it's the little chubby girls. We were the thick girls. I was cute but chubby, and certainly not attractive enough for boys like that. So I decided to prove them wrong. And I decided I would be thin and beautiful and mature and sexy and strong and be untouchable. And so that became my mission. And I became super disciplined as a runner, in my schoolwork. I was just going to do everything right because I was going to prove them wrong. that I wasn't that little chubby girl that they laughed at. At 21 years old, I graduated from college, and I graduated with honors, and it was just a wonderful day because I wanted to prove to them that that might have been jam, but it was good jam. Fast forward a few years, and I'm 30 years old now, married, a great 6-figure corporate job, a wonderful husband. We have an SUV in the driveway, a house. Like, this is the life, right? I'm proving those guys wrong. They can't touch me. I wouldn't even be interested in them if they called me. We'd been married for 5 years, my husband and I, and things were okay. But we knew something was missing. And we wanted to have children. And I don't know about you, but as a woman, there was a part of me that knew I was supposed to be a mom. And we both decided, yeah, it's time. And we tried and tried and tried. And I thought back to walking across that church sidewalk, swaying, thinking everything is great, but I felt laughed at. I felt minimized because we couldn't have children. Maybe you know what that's like, to feel not enough. I'm right back to that sidewalk at 12 years old, and I'm 30, and I'm supposed to have this figured out. So we start fertility treatments, going from doctor to doctor, shot to shot. The nurse says to me, you need to slow down. Your body's ability to ovulate is just shut down because you're going too fast. I thought, what do you know about my life? Well, for 4 years, we just kept going through this process. And I don't know about you, but I prayed every prayer I was taught to pray in the name of Jesus in our tradition. If you say it, it's supposed to happen. That's what the church had taught me, right? Maybe I just needed to try harder, to be more faithful, and it would happen. Well, I was working that 6-figure corporate job. Remember that? And I decided, you know what? I needed to be free from that job because that nurse, I remember her voice saying, you've got to slow down. So maybe this job is the problem. Have you ever been there? Like, this job has got to go. I quit that 6-figure corporate job. And I thought, this is the answer. I'm answering my call to ministry. I'm going to serve the Lord, and everything is going to be great because that job was my problem. And maybe if I'm more faithful, it'll happen. I quit that job. I started a journey of ministry. And I still looked at my husband, and we both agreed there has to be more to life than this. On April 6, 2006, I'm at the doctor's office. Again, a new doctor. And I'm about to have a D&C. And anybody that's been through miscarriages, this was our 4th, knows what it's like to be sedated, to have a procedure, to take the fetus out or parts of what was developing as a baby. And the doctor says to me, as I'm laying prostrate on the table, your hormone levels aren't what they should be. Let's do one more ultrasound. And in that ultrasound, there was a heartbeat. And And in the moment that we were supposed to go into surgery to remove the gift, the baby that God has given us, that doctor said, let's do one more ultrasound. And Isaac, our oldest son, was 7 weeks old. And we had no idea that he was growing inside of my belly because we had stopped all the treatments. And he was conceived naturally. And in the moment of what we thought was death, it was actually life. He was born full term, a beautiful baby. And it was in that moment that my life's purpose was defined. That I was called to be a life giver, to speak hope and encouragement and inspiration to women who feel not good enough, not smart enough, not beautiful enough, certainly not woman enough to be all that God has created her to be. My breakthrough moment happened on that table. Fast forward, our son Aaron was born 2 years later, and Alexis 4 years after that. And they are healthy and they are thriving, and they were conceived naturally. But we wouldn't have gotten to that point without the struggle. Maybe, just maybe, you've had these moments in your life. What I learned is my outer breakthrough didn't come until my inner breakthrough happened. When I realized that I am enough, that my life is valuable, that with or without children, my life had meaning. That was the point of my breakthrough. That jelly that still shakes a bit today is sweet and strong, and it's meant to be given away. I now have been able to accomplish more than I could have ever dreamed, and there's so much more out there. As an entrepreneur, coaching, writing, speaking, the world is wide open, but it only happened through those experiences. Thank you. So in that story, my life changed. My marriage changed. Our faith was renewed. Peace and connection and freedom all comes through our story. So let me go back to our slides and share my screen. Our personal story must include vulnerability and then credibility. If you think about my story that I shared, there was a call. There was a moment that something happened. And for me, that something that happened was at the age of 12, walking across that church sidewalk. That led me into a pit of insecurity, of not being enough. And so I go on this search trying to be perfect to overcome those feelings of insecurity. At 30, I'm right back at that point because I'm still searching, thinking that the external things are going to solve this challenge. But my breakthrough came on that exam table when I was pregnant with Isaac. And through that, an internal breakthrough emerges where I realize I am enough. Through that, I start businesses. I'm able to listen to the voice within me and share it in a way that impacts millions. So, what's your story? So let me stop there. And I'm going to invite you to unmute. And I want to ask you, as you listen to my story and think about the power of story, what are you taking away from this teaching? So go ahead, unmute yourselves as you're able, and just jump in. Denisha, I can't hear you. I think you're still muted. Okay, just a minute. Okay.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yep, there you go.
Okay. So I missed the whole story. I came in a little late. I'm on the phone, so I'm trying to figure out how to work this thing. But I think we all have a story. Mine is a hell of a story, and understanding that the outside and trying to impress or trying to strive for something has not worked. And so having the opportunity to be still and understand which direction in which you need to go is part of the story as well. And so all of the striving is what I hear, like stop striving and what I've been seeing, and be you. And then things begin to happen.
Mm-hmm. Thank you, Tanisha. Gina?
I think because I'm classically codependent. Nicole and I talk about this a lot. That I'm a caretaker, and it's taken me a while to have the confidence that I even have a story worth telling. Like that my story isn't meaningful, it isn't necessarily going to help anyone. So, but this is kind of what I've been focusing on for a while now, just because it fits in with what I would like to do with a blog. Mm-hmm. And that is that, all of us women, kind of in this age group, regardless of culture, ethnicity, even socioeconomic, sometimes seem to intersect at that feeling that you brought up. Like we intersect at that point of not feeling like we look the right way, or we're smart enough, or all these vulnerabilities that I feel like start to shift in that midlife, where we all really do have, I love people's stories. We all really have very unique, impactful stories to tell.
Thank you. Absolutely. And that point that you mentioned, Gina, where we embrace our story as being valuable to others is really powerful. Because it's one thing to say, I've got a story, I've been through some things, I'm good. But to be vulnerable and share our stories, because what people see on the outside is, oh, she's got it together. She must have it together if she has a business, or if she's speaking, or she's writing, or she's in a leadership position. And honestly, we're all a work in progress. And we all have these moments. And the way we free others, because we're pursuing freedom. Like when we talk about what we want, it's financial freedom, it's time freedom, it's holistic freedom that only comes from being vulnerable in our story and in our life lessons. So thank you, Gina. Nicole, I think you're still muted. Make sure.
Can you hear me now? Okay.
Yeah.
I think I love hearing people's stories, because I think we, as unique as each person's story is, there's always some common thread that we say, aha, something that hits our human spirit, even if it's just the global overcoming. And that looks different for different people. But I think we live, especially in a society, I call it the Facebook facade. I know I post my favorite pictures. I post the celebratory things, and I don't share the other side. And when you're telling your story, it's the totality of yourself. Not totality, but more of a full picture. Mm-hmm. And we don't do that enough. So it's refreshing. It really reminds me of some of the work I'm doing with Denisha, because when we're talking about women of color, we started saying it's our, our individual stories, but our collective narrative that we wanted to share. And I think there's such strength in that. So this really harkens to that. And it is hard because globally, when I think about just by chance who I happen to be born to, I hit the jackpot in a lot of ways. So thinking about telling a story and knowing that other people have had much more adversity, traditional adversity, sometimes causes those of us who have had fairly good lives to minimize our experiences. And so I, like Gina, have had to just embrace that we each have a story, even if it's packaged in a different house, a different income growing up, or a different life circumstance. We still have these human experiences that are shared across race, ethnicity, and socioeconomic.
Absolutely. And what I know about all of us as women, as a part of this mastermind, we're building businesses and impacting people in a way that cuts across the perceived barriers that are out there, whether it's race or ethnicity or experience. The way we cut through that and get to the person that's been waiting to meet us is our story. So this is so important personally and professionally. Part of what I'm working on for this group and for my business is a blueprint. And I'll be sharing this with you, but each one of us needs to have a signature system. So when someone says, sure, I'd love to work with you, we've got a system to offer them. But first, they connect with us. Because people don't want to buy products. They want to buy solutions from people that they connect with. So if we can connect through story, common vulnerabilities and fears and challenges in life, all of a sudden their hearts begin to open to the possibility that a solution to their problem could come through you. Because prior to that, in the business situation, they think, oh, I'm fine. Great information that we're going to get today in this presentation, but I don't need anything more. But imagine what you've got to offer is a system that you can consult with them on, coach them through. It all begins with the connection, though. So as I'm building my system, I'll keep sharing that, because that's the same process I'm going to recommend for your business. And it's simply packaging. So story becomes a message. It's a message in my story of resilience, of believing we are enough, which is about being empowered, and then nothing is impossible. So here's a side note. And Gina mentioned this at the beginning of our call about money. Many of us as women have a problem charging our worth. And I've been there, and I'm working my way through that as well. Nicole and I had a conversation about even what I charge for coaching. And what I know is I could charge a lot more. And in future programs with future clients, I absolutely will. But here's what we've got to recognize. The reason we are fearful to ask for what we're worth is because we doubt that worth. And remember, people don't just pay, they're paying for the outcome that you can deliver for them. They will invest thousands and millions towards their vision. And here's how we know. People buy property every day to live out their vision. People invest in stocks and bonds every day to create income for their vision. People buy houses and cars every day to live out their vision. So imagine you have a product for $5,000. So imagine you create a coaching group or a consulting process for $5,000. Now, a person would go out and imagine this. We have an SUV. We have an SUV that costs multiple thousands of dollars. Anybody have one of those cars? My husband just had to have it. It's more than I would have personally spent, but he had no problem saying, we need to get this car, and we use it and it's great. But if we'll invest $20, $30, $40, $50,000 in an SUV, will we not invest that in our businesses? So I imagine you have a $5,000, a $10,000, a $50,000 product that people will absolutely say yes for without hesitation, because it's a solution to their problem. And the first step is embracing our story and the value we bring to help other people have their breakthrough. Whew. That's the journey we're on. As we close out today, I believe we're on a renewed journey in this moment. With story as our foundation, story leads to message, which leads to product and relationships that are unlimited. One of the things I've shared and we've talked about before is, imagine you have 10 clients that pay $10,000 for your product. With 10 clients, you have a six-figure business. I want you to hear how simple that is. And it's very realistic for each one of us this year. And there are many ways to work the numbers and the math, because 20 clients at $5,000 still gets us to the same point. However we want to make the math. But when we believe in ourselves and our story and charge what our value is that we're bringing, and Charity, if she was on this call, this is what she does. That's when our mind just expands and it's blown, because we can achieve more than we ever thought was possible. So as we close out today, we're right at our hour. Let me go back to our slides and close us out. So in our mastermind, let's fast forward here. We want to listen for the next right action for our business. And so what I want to challenge you to do is to define your first domino from this point forward today. That first domino is the easiest action you can take right now, today, this week, that will trigger the bigger action that you are resisting. Maybe you're resisting telling your story, or pricing your program, or developing your signature system. And the easiest next action is to send a text message, a quick email, make the reservation, make the prepayment, send the invitation, make the phone call, whatever it is. Today, knock down the first domino. So I want to give you 1 minute, and I want you to simply define that first domino. And I want to invite you just to write in the chat, because we're out of time here. And in the chat, as you're able, just type your first domino and then we'll close out. So 60 seconds, ready and go. Okay, that's our 1 minute. So I hope everyone has your first domino. And here are our final thoughts. As you schedule your time this month, make sure to schedule your big rocks first. So take care of yourself, family, your friends, and have some fun while we're on this journey. Remember, action without intention is simply reaction. Action with no intention is just reaction to other people's agenda. Intention without action is regret, but intention and action is what will lead to results over and over again. So I want to lift up prayers as we go. I want to remind you that our next due it date is our one-to-one coaching calls. So what we're going to do, our new rhythm is we're going to have our first of the month group call like this, and then we're going to do our one-to-one call during the month. So we're not going to do that second group call on the third Thursday. Given people's rhythms and their schedule, that mid-month call was just not as working as well. So we're going to do 2 calls a month, and we're going to use our app. So again, make sure to have this first of the month call, and then we have our one-to-one coaching calls. So that will be our rhythm. So that just frees up an hour on your schedule mid-month that you can work towards your goals. And I'll be giving feedback on the app. I know a couple people have posted in there this week, so I'll be doing that by tomorrow. And make sure to schedule your one-on-one call for the month. So let me lift up a prayer. As you want to participate, I invite you to. God, we pray that you would continue to bless and send us forward, knowing that our story is a message for the world, that our life's lessons are meant to bless others and to empower them to be confident and beautiful and to soar. So bless us now collectively as a group and individually over this next month. This we pray, Creator God. Amen. Blessings as you go forth. If you're able, I'll be at the Women's Conference tomorrow night and Saturday. So we'll be Facebook Living as well too. So if you can't be there, I'll try to keep everyone updated. But lift Rachinda up in your thoughts and prayers if you can, because she's leading. This is her conference, her signature event for the year. There are over 200 women that are registered for the conference. So it's going to be amazing and exciting. So I will talk to you on our one-on-one coaching calls and on the app soon. Have an amazing month. Take care. Bye.
Bye.